Hey there guys, how's it going? This is rexfurry here, and welcome back to another Anime Studio custom bone rig update, as well as Hero's Shadow update. I like to just combine the two in the title, because of the fact that the bone rig update is going to be working alongside the characters of my new revamped Hero's Shadow series, and I'm sure you guys are already aware of this already, so nonetheless, let's go ahead and get into the update. Now, this update is going to be somewhat small, but, I do want to show this just because I think it is kind of interesting. Now, this is the rendered image of the characters, just to give you guys a better idea of what they look like, instead of just having all these random, jagged-looking lines. But let me go ahead and get rid of this so you guys can get a better view of what I'm about to show you. Now, this character's name is Sasune, and she basically has the same rig as Laga Sensei here and another adult character that I did that I'm not going to show because, there really is no point right now. But, basically, I want to focus on her rig because lately I've been working a little bit differently on this rig rather than some of the other adult characters like Laga Sensei's rig, because Laga Sensei's rig, as I showed you guys before, works pretty much the same like this. All these bones are attached to the points, but one thing I'm not sure if I showed or not was that each one of these bones has a various constraint to it, just to give me more of an idea of what it can and can't do, instead of me just manually going through and just saying like, I don't know, does that look like that's actually physically possible? And I know these are like pretty much cartoon characters and whatnot, but I still just wanted to give myself a bit of a more easier time. But then I thought, it does take quite a while with these constraints to actually get them all set up in each and every bone and whatnot, so why not just go ahead and do it without constraints? And I did that for most of Sasune's body here, except for the arms. Once I got there, I was still debating whether or not to actually do the constraints. In the end, I just wanted to try it without them, and this is kind of the end result. So as you can see, the initial bone here that actually connects to the body works pretty well, nothing really to do out of the ordinary going on over there. But when I use the second bone here, you'll notice that things start to get a little more wacky, a little more jello-y. Still, it still looks okay for the most part, but it is a little bit different than if I had constraints to actually kind of, know where to stop actually bending these. But, it isn't too terrible. And then when I get to the third bone, though, which, granted, this bone isn't really going to be moving a whole lot, but it will be moving just slightly. It is definitely a lot more, it feels a lot more loose and whatever to actually be using, and it can kind of, crinkle in. And that crinkling wouldn't really happen if I would actually have constraints enabled, like Laga Sensei here. And so, one thing that I've noted is I probably won't be using constraints anymore, just because they are way too time-consuming for all these characters. But using constraints is definitely it will give you an easier time. So I guess this is more of the benefit of you guys, if you guys are actually using this system or whatever, or something like it. Constraints do make it easier, but if you don't use them, it's less time consuming, but it's more along the lines of you have to know your character well enough, like what they can and can't do, like what their limitations are. So anyways, I just wanted to give you guys that little update. I'm not going to be using constraints anymore. I'm just going to be kind of loosely using these bones here like this. So, yeah. Just thought I'd go ahead and give you guys a little update on that. Also, one thing I've tried to do as well is reduce points within the arms. And I'm going to go ahead and close this update in just a second here. But I want to let you guys know of this little fact. I've recently tried to reduce a lot of the points. Like if I go to Sasune's... there we go. There's her arm, and there's a lot less points than some other characters that I've used the same rig on, and I think it works pretty well. Like, usually I'll start off with a whole bunch of points, and then if it eventually just starts working, then I'll just use all those points. But I've recently tried to cut down, because it does go, the program runs a little bit faster, but, yeah. So, just trying to get this more efficient and whatnot. But anyway, that's pretty much that. That's the little update I wanted to give, as well as just kind of show off this character, have an excuse to actually show her off, because I think she is pretty cool. She has a lot more detail. And, this doesn't really pertain to the rig per se, but I am putting a lot more detail on some of the more recent characters now, so you should be seeing in the most recent episode that will be coming soon of Hero's Shadow, episode 2, a lot more style and stuff in the whole series. But anyway, that's besides the point. I just want to show you guys this little rig, so nonetheless, feel free to comment, subscribe, whatever you guys want to do. And until next update or next video, whatever, this has been rexfurry. I'll see you all then.